Not going anywhere, we are still here. Obiano will come and go in disgrace, I tell you. Aboga Wasa will come and go in disgrace. Anybody moving against IPOB, you will be disgraced eventually. It's a war you cannot win. NBC cannot defeat us. The zoo cannot defeat us. They have given up. They know how strong we are and how determined that we are. The world will know that very, very soon. I assure you. Willie Obiano, you have signed your death warrant because eventually you will fall. Eventually, you will fall, I assure you. You're not going anywhere, we are still here. Obiano will come and go in disgrace, I tell you. Aboga Wasa will come and go in disgrace. Anybody moving against IPOB, you will be disgraced eventually. It's a war you cannot win. NBC cannot defeat us. The zoo cannot defeat us. They have given up. They know how strong we are and how determined that we are. The world will know that very, very soon. I assure you. Willie Obiano, you have signed your death warrant because eventually you will fall. Eventually you will fall, I assure you.
Please don't block. You should come down. I know,
it was reportedly, it was allegedly reported that what the former governor of Anambra, Willie Obiano, is dead, and what he died of heart attack in what in UK, just like you know, Ifan Oba also died in the in UK. Another people have come out and say, what is it that Nnamdi Kanu prophecy and cause is what is affecting these southeastern politicians that were involved in his kidnap from Kenya to Nigeria? What's your take as a guy?
Yes, a lot of change has been on this matter as the revelation keep on coming consistently that the something the former governor of Anambra State, Willie Maduforochukwu Obiano, you know, the fourth governor of Anambra State, who served that state for 8 years. You know, if you can remember, he has a running battle with EFCC, talking about over 4 billion, you know, missing misappropriation money and all that. You know, but that notwithstanding, if you look at Obiano's, Willie Obiano's, you know, running battle as Anambra as state governor, that was in the heat of the IPOB Buhari factor as at that time. So, but the news just break out, you know, and reportedly in different online media platform that the man might have, you know, passed away in faraway London over an undisclosed illness, pointing towards, you know, urinary cancer or whatever, you know that has came up with that he couldn't survive it, and he eventually, you know, passed on according to that report. So what you are hearing at this point in time now, that he is not going to be buried in Anambra State. Wherever they want to take his body to, they should just take his body to anywhere. The Igbo leaders, the Igbo youths, of course, the IPOB members are saying they don't want to see him. That after all, he is one of the ones who connived with another late, IPOB alleged enemy, Ifan Oba, you know, to that carried out that atrocity in Kenya and went as far as, you know, using some private aircraft linked to some Igbo politicians, even though it has not been thoroughly substantiated that a certain politician actually donated his private jet to be used, you know, to manipulate a certain process that took place in Kenya, and that was how Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped. That process and everything, you know, he has been having a real battle with now, and there was this also report that Nnamdi Kanu actually placed a cause, you know, especially what happened in Mpo during Obiano administration as governor of that state. There is the fourth governor of Anambra State, you know, he took over directly from Gregory Obi, you know, and was at the heat of Buhari's government, you know, face off the IPOB as at that time. So, and as governor of that state as at that particular time, we did not see much of his protective, tendencies on the issue that has to do with the face-off between IPOB and the then president of Nigeria, who has also, either disappeared or actually, we don't know what happened. Just 3 years after he left office as president, the next thing we had, just less than 3 years, is that the late Buhari is nowhere to be found. Probably has passed on, or I don't know. There's still controversy, and the investigation is still going on there. This man, Willie Obiano, has been off the media space, the public space, for a very long time, signaling that he has been running a deep health challenges and health crisis, and what we are hearing now is that it might be true, because this platform is still working very hard to verify that report, but some credibility has been added to it that Willie Obiano might have actually passed on, to the great beyond. Let me just put it that way, but what we are saying at this point in time, and that's what we're talking about. Like most of these politicians today who are actually against Nnamdi Kanu, who are actually against the realization and recognition and support for the liberation of their people today, one day, look back and people will see them as enemies of their own people. Just like what we saw that happened to Ifeanyi and the rest of them concerning the role they played in that illegality and kidnapping, alliancing with the Fulani government to carry out that unfortunate onslaught against the IPOB leader, who has become a phenomenon now, who has become a celebrity now, who has become the face of African liberation and movement currently now. All this persecution that was meted at Nnamdi Kanu has turned positive for him currently now. As it stands now, Nnamdi Kanu is the most popular black man on earth. And what we are seeing now is that, how would you now justify Obiano's leadership and governance? What is his legacies of his days as governor? His time, as governor, what did he actually, left, behind? So that's what we are talking about. Did he actually achieve that reputable image or personality that is worthy of celebration by the IPOB members and Biafrans all over the world? Now, if the news is correct, that means another enemy here, hero. I don't know how to actually put it, as actually, kick the bucket, and that is what the news is talking about today.
Okay, but the kind of death or the way he died, a lot of people are linking to that of Ifeanyi. And the question is that we saw how he said he's going to arrest Nnamdi Kanu in 2017 when Nnamdi Kanu said there will not be election in Anambra state, back then. And he said he's going to arrest Nnamdi Kanu. But a lot of people have said, is Biafra really ordained by God? Because we've seen what's really happening as regards the enemies of Biafra and just the way they've died from last year to this moment. Do you really think that what Biafra is something that cannot be stopped?
Yes, Obiano was born in August 1955, and from that indication, I think he was able to experience one or two things that transpired in Nigeria as at that time, especially during the heat of Nigeria Biafra war. I don't think he will. He was just really a small boy as at that time. But even at that time, he would have understand, that his people is at war of, a survival. So on that note, even though we don't know from the banking industry, he managed to become the governor of that state. Yes, it's something to question ourselves. Has God really ordained the Biafran sovereignty for the Biafran people? The answer is clear, and the answer is yes, correct, 100%. It is being ordained. It took Israel 460 years, and thereafter, coupled with over more than 2, 3, 4, 5 decades, or let me just put it that way, before they become a nation. Today in 1948 or thereabout, so Biafra is still struggling for that recognition. Like somebody will say that consistency brings freedom. We keep on pushing. It's a struggle. It's a continuation of where our ancestors stop trying to defend our presence today, defend people like Obiano who has turned against. Imagine if those people as at that time were not able to stand against these jihadists as at that time. We wouldn't have people like Obiano coming out to become governor. We don't have people who are working against their own people, as traitors, in that regard. We wouldn't have the likes of IPOB. We wouldn't have liked somebody like, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. Most of them, we are hearing their names today. We wouldn't have them. But because our ancestors, stood their ground and defended the race and the tribe of the Igbo race, that's why we are still seeing a space, to catch up and continue the struggle from where they actually, stopped. So it's something that have come to stay. It is a movement. It has become spiritual. The Biafran spirit can no longer be stopped because it has eaten into the consciousness of the born and the born and the unborn children and the generations to come. The battle keep on moving right from that date till now. So Obiano should understand, and these people should understand at this point in time, nothing lasts forever, but the legacies of what you left behind, is what matters to many people. You are, how long you are able to put some certain things in place. So, Obiano, we don't want to pray for such thing anyway, but it happens. But remember that there is an uprising already. There is different opinions on what you represent in Igbo land. There's different opinion on what you represent as a politician in Igbo land. There's also different opinion on what you represent as, to IPOB members, to Nnamdi Kanu factor and the rest of them. So all these things will be factored in. It was a heavy struggle to have Ifeanyi buried in Anambra State. And from the way we are saying it, and now, there's going to be a restriction because we can see as at that time the battle between Obiano was acting on the instruction of the man that said, that the Igbo will not exist unless they embrace Ruga, unless they embrace Fulani, unless they embrace, jihadists, and that's, Muhammadu Buhari. So that was the era where we had Obiano as at that time. So you can see how difficult it was as really, for him to liaise with the president as at that time, to start having a deep face-off with IPOB members. And up to today, Nnamdi Kanu rendered a lot of statement and prophetically call for anybody that's standing against a Biafra restoration, that God will take them one after another. And immediately Obiano left office. He had issues with the FCC, and from that point he went underground. Till this very moment, we are hearing breaking news that he might have done in a London private clinic, as a result of illness, that has eaten up his himself, unfortunately, and maybe he couldn't survive it, and that's how he actually passed on.
Okay, but do you think that when Ifeanyi died, if it is true that Obiano is dead, do you think that they'll be allowed to be buried in Anambra? Just like we saw Tosu, some set of persons were saying because Ifeanyi was against Nnamdi Kanu and Biafra that he might not be buried in Anambra. But do you think that Obiano will be allowed, or the rituals of him being allowed to be buried in Anambra will be allowed for him to be buried in Anambra?
Yeah. Let me tell you, I don't know his Igbo title, what they normally call him, as at that time. Unfortunately, very unactive man, but not on the side of the people. There's going to be battle for that in that regard. Honestly, that Obiano will not be buried. But here, for what we are hearing, and before that time, that he actually called for forgiveness and asked the Anambra people and the Igbos and the Biafrans all over the world to forgive him in that regard, and have mercy upon him. Which based on that apology, the Ohanese leadership might try to look deeply and see how they are going to reconcile that face-off. before his burial. Outside that, there might be, resistance to have him buried in Biafra land at the end of the day.
Okay, we've seen the IPOB ESN. We've seen what is currently happening in the southeast. As regards people still crying that the Fulanis are still ransacking the forest and their farmland. But do you not think that Anambrans might even still be angry with Obiano for working with the Fulanis government? Do you think that the ESN and the IPOB we want to still allow for his burial to take place if it is true that he is dead?
Well, let me tell you, that's another factor because there's no how we can all throw away history of what transpired during Obiano as governor of Anambra State, and now that we are talking about his demise, and that those memories seems to be coming back gradually. Now we are seeing unverified report from ESN and IPOB insisting that Obiano must not be buried in Biafran land. Obiano must not be buried in Anambra State, and this is going to be another major, uphill task for the Ohanese leaders and the Igbo politicians to seek redress with the IPOB and ESN in that regard, to be able to, have Obiano given a befitting burial. If actually the report we are getting from these quarters are actually something to write home about, that Obiano is actually dead. But if it is not, yes, we are just trying to give you also an insight of the possibility if something happen and what the scenario in Anambra State is going to look like at the end of the day, that ESN and IPOB is going to become a major obstacle on how and where the late former reported late governor of Anambra State, Willie Obiano, will be buried and how he will be buried. It is going to be a serious issue, you understand, because we are hearing also that once this report is thoroughly verified, then ESN and IPOB are going, not this kind of ESN that Nigerian government is chasing up and down. No, those ones are not ESN. Those ones are not IPOB. When you see the real ESN and IPOB, it's not somebody will tell you. They are organized, they are professionals, they are intelligent, they went to school, they are lettered, they understand the integrity of the struggle, they understand the blueprint of the struggle, they understand what it means at every point in time. Not this very one we are seeing up and down that Nigerian government is arresting up. No, they are coordinated all over the world, and they understand the word of command and control at the end of the day. So, let us see how it's going to play off completely. But I can tell you that wherever Obiano is now, I think very clearly that the Biafran reality will be staring him on the face at this moment.
Okay, but what do you think will be going through the mind of Nnamdi Kanu if he hears that Obiano is allegedly dead? What do you think will be going through his mind? Because just like I said, as of 2016, 2017, there was a tussle between both of them, and Nnamdi Kanu for a fact know that Obiano, he really caused Obiano. What do you think will be going through? Do you think that Nnamdi Kanu will be believing that now we believe that he is a true prophet?
Nnamdi Kanu is a prophet. Nnamdi Kanu is not an extremist. Nnamdi Kanu is not an extremist. Nnamdi Kanu has survived so many battles. Not this Obiano battle or no. Nnamdi Kanu has survived a lot of them, and is still surviving at this point in time, But what is going to happen? Nnamdi Kanu is going to use Obiano as a reference point to these Eastern politicians of what is likely going to happen at the end of the day, and that there's no amount of attack, let me use that word, manipulation, bring down syndrome that can be able to quench the spirit of Biafra that has already been ignited and it's already illuminated. So it's going to call their attention to what happened to how the former governor of Anambra State, Obiano, actually, died, and what his death also signifies to Igbo. This is just like what every day we talk about Azikiwe today. You know, how would you justify that Azikiwe? Nobody's recognizing Azikiwe, not because of that. No, because he did not fight for his people. That's the consciousness and that's the sentiment out there. But if you talk about Nnamdi Kanu today, I can tell you, 99% of South and Southeast are in synergy of what Nnamdi Kanu and his philosophy represent when it comes to freedom fighting, genuinely without compromising. So these guys might have compromised in one way or the other, in terms of their position as governor and trying to tell you that they are under a certain oath and not all, and they go all out to kill their own people just to please this unity called unfortunate unity called Nigeria. So that is the picture out there, no matter how you see it. Nnamdi Kanu, if the news actually filtered, I think for Nnamdi Kanu, from the revelation we are getting from the NAS president, who happens to be an inmate with him in DSS custody, you can see the revelation that is coming from that man concerning Nnamdi Kanu's personality, and that's what Nnamdi Kanu represent. But when it comes to the issue of justice, my brother, Nnamdi Kanu does not look bad and he doesn't want to know anybody. And based on that basis, you understand, you can say those legacies is left for posterity to judge Obiano at the end of the day.
I was shocked. So I now went close to him. I said, I am Comrade Atiku Isa. I wanted to introduce myself. I said, no, I know you. So he started telling me about what happened. So I became shocked. Then he told me that be strong. That was how I continued discussion with him for about 2 months. So Nnamdi Kanu is somebody I know very well, because if you stay with somebody on a daily basis and you are discussing with the person on a daily basis for about 2 months, because in detention you don't have anything to do. You only sit down on a particular spot and you are with this person on a daily basis and you are always discussing. So you should know the kind of person that he is. And let me tell you that people don't know that it was prior to my meeting with Nnamdi Kanu, I had thought that he was a wicked man who want to divide the country, because I am a patriotic Nigerian and I don't want anything that will bring confusion in this country. So that was the mindset I had. But after meeting him, in the detention, I realized that the Fulanis, the Hausas, the Kanuris there are all loyal to him. You'll be shocked that he has more supporters in the DSS facility than he has outside, because if anywhere you live and you have more than 95% of the people who are supporting you. Before I met him, a Fulani guy told me, because he said, oh, if you see Nnamdi Kanu, he will like you because you can speak English. The guy does not understand English. We're always communicating in Hausa language, and in Arabic language. So he said, he will like you because you can speak English, and he's a good man. If you have any problem, tell him, he will help you. So that is how they see Nnamdi Kanu. Everybody in that detention facility, they see him as their leader. So it's not about a leader agitating for the Igbo cause. He's a leader agitating for Nigerians, for the betterment of Nigerians. So that is the person Nnamdi Kanu is. So I have discussed with him severally. On a daily basis, he will tell me, Atiku will be strong. And along the line, now told me that, okay, I want you to play along so that they release you from here. I don't want you to continue to stay in detention. That was when I said, I'm ready to remain in detention. I said, no, this place is not good for you. Play along. Do whatever they want you to do. Get away from me and go and meet your family. I said, you are here. Say, don't worry. You go out. I don't want to see young men like you to be in detention. So that is the person we are talking about, that Nnamdi Kanu is. A very passionate leader with compassion, and he has the interest of especially the masses at heart. And I think the problem he has, which is not a problem, is that he's too courageous and fearless. And that is why, to me, he is still in detention. Courageous and fearless.
All right. Again, I see some of you telling me, why are you sitting abroad talking about Biafra? Why don't you come home? And I see that this is just a personal hatred that you have against me or against Ndibo or Biafrans. Listen, we can't fight like every other person is fighting. Now, I must tell you this. Simon Ekpa was arrested and detained, illegally detained by Finland because of your own mineral resources that they negotiated that they will be taking part of your mineral resources and Simon Ekpa should be taken away. That is the truth, and they labeled him a terrorist. Now, Nnamdi Kanu, they went as far as Kenya to kidnap Mazen Nnamdi Kanu and brought him, and since over 5 years, counting, they have not found one thing against him. Releasing him now is nearly impossible. Every other Biafrans that they have taken in this fight to freedom, they are languishing in DSSS and other prisons in Nigeria. You don't expect us to come back and then be arrested by these same people who call themselves Nigerian government, who does not obey law, their own law. Nigeria does not obey their own law. The court is not for the freedom of anybody. The court is now used against the poor. So the courts, the people who owns the court are the big men. You can never find any poor man getting justice in the court of Nigeria. So for those of you who are telling us, oh, come back if you are needed, I can see that there is something wrong with you. Something is wrong with you. We are here making the expositions of what Nigerian government is doing to you and I to make sure they keep suppressing us and the Western world continue to milk our oil. And we said enough is enough. Then when they finish milking our oil, they supply them ammunitions, they supply them all manner of weapons to fight Biafra. All this shout that Biafrans have been shouting, unaliving us, they are unaliving us, Nigeria is unaliving us. Have you seen any one of them talk? The answer is no. Why? Because they are benefiting from the Nigerian failed state. That is the simple truth. So we know better than you do. And most of you, your problem is poverty because you don't know how to reason. Poverty has made you to start reasoning like animals. I don't blame you because you are not exposed. We are more exposed than most of you. Anybody who comes to tell us you are in abroad, that person, I'm telling you, is a fool and works with the Nigerian terrorist government. I tell you the truth. So on this note, I will leave you with one thing. Go and do your fact findings that Finland connived with Nigeria to jail Simon Ekpa because of your mineral resources. I am not your problem. Simon Ekpa is not your problem. Go to the is not your problem. Nnamdi Kanu is not your problem. Your problem are your government, your country, and Nigeria is your problem. Thank you.